Yesterday on eBay, I saw a signed Bob Ross painting for $850,000. So obviously I can't buy the painting, but what I decided to do was build a deck inspired by the painting. So we have all the cards that are the color, all the colors that are in the painting. So we have a couple of different white cards for the mountains and the clouds, a few different greens for the trees and the grass, blue for the water and the sky, and then there's also a little bit of brown and black in there. So we're gonna give it a try. Hopefully Bob Ross can bring us to victory. And one of the things I was thinking about today is how we are often very critical of ourselves. We're our own worst critic, and we see ourselves very differently than how other people see us. And I thought of a YouTube video I saw a while ago, and it was an experiment or a study of some kind, and it was hosted by, I think it was hosted by some beauty company. I don't know exactly who, but they hosted this study where they brought in a bunch of different individuals, and they also brought in a forensic sketch artist, or a criminal sketch artist, somebody who for a living takes descriptions of people and draws an image of them. And this is something that this person had been doing for quite a few years, so it's not like they were new to it. They were a seasoned vet in that field, and they brought in the participants one by one, and they had them describe themselves, and they were seated behind a curtain or a barrier of some kind, and so the sketch artist couldn't see them, but he had them describe themselves, and he drew an image of the qualities the participant was describing to him. So we did this with all the participants, brought each of them in, asked them to describe themselves, and then drew a profile accordingly. And after he did this with all the individuals, he would bring in one of the other participants to describe the person that he had drawn. And these people, it's not like they were friends, it's not like they knew each other, but they had spent a little bit of time, I think, in the lobby or in the waiting room or something together, so they knew what the person looked like. They might have had a little bit of interaction with them, and he would ask these participants to describe the individual for him, and he drew an image based off of that. And at the end of it all, he would put the images side by side in sort of a gallery. So you'd have an image of the person as they describe themselves, an image of the person as somebody else had described them as. So, and one of the things that you could notice is that you could tell they were depicting the same person, but the sketch that was drawn based off of another person's description, it always looked better, just in little details, like, maybe they had less eye bags, maybe they looked younger, they looked fresher, they looked happier, and the image that somebody had drawn, the image that was taken from the description of the person who described themselves, just looked worse. I mean, the person just looked older, they looked more tired, they looked worse. And so what that kind of taught was that we often see ourselves critically, we describe ourselves critically, but other people usually see us in a much better light. They describe us better, they see us better, and so we are often our own worst critic. That also might be the same reason why when we record a video and listen back to it, we kind of cringe at our own voice, because we sound different to ourselves as well. And so it's just kind of a reminder to, when you look at yourself in the mirror, or when you take a picture of yourself, when you watch a video back of yourself, you will probably be critical of yourself. You'll probably see flaws and imperfections, but other people perceive you in a different way. Kind of like in the same way that when you take a picture of a sunset or a nature scene that you really like, and you look at the picture and it just doesn't do it justice, it doesn't look good. That just kind of goes to illustrate that. So as you go about your day to day, keep that in mind. Might give you a little bit more confidence knowing that people see you differently and you are often the most critical one of yourself.